chesi gandie wa se wenu hoye o wenu ho chesi gandie wa se wenu hoye.
The Greedy Father, a tale from Benin.
Once upon a time in a small village, there lived a man named Najo. He was very poor and lived in a crumbling shack. But he had a beautiful daughter named Bessie. She was tall, with big, bright eyes and a wonderful smile. Najo could hardly wait until she was old enough to get married. When he looked at her, he could only think about the bags of gold her beauty would bring him as a bride price. All the young men in the village were fascinated by Bessie's beauty, and they all wanted to marry her. Countless handsome men came forward and asked for her hand in marriage. They were strong, hard-working men. Some of them brought half the provisions in their barns and rolls of fine fabrics. But Najo was not satisfied. Other men brought all the provisions in their barns, rolls of fine fabrics, and jewelry. Still, Bessie's father was not satisfied. None of the young men was rich enough to pay the bride price he wanted. Bessie was an obedient daughter, so she turned down all the marriage proposals from the men of the village. One after another, the young men went away broken-hearted. One day, a monkey living in the jungle heard about Bessie's great beauty and her father's enormous greed. He was a very ugly monkey, but he was very smart. He decided he was going to marry the beautiful Bessie. He made himself beautiful clothes from the fabrics he had stolen. Ant built him a beautiful house. Dog, lion, and panther supplied him with plenty of meat. Elephant offered him firewood. Bee brought him honey. Hare brought him yams and cassava. And partridge brought him millet and corn. Eagle gave him expensive necklaces and bangles. And squirrel brought him gold and diamonds. The generosity of Monkey's friends made him very wealthy, and with his own magical powers, he transformed himself into a handsome man. And so it was that Monkey set out for Bessie's village, carrying expensive gifts and dressed up as a wealthy, handsome young man. Monkey arrived with gorgeous fabrics, priceless jewels, and loads of provisions. The moment Najo saw Monkey, his clothes, and the gift he had brought, Najo was convinced he had found the ideal husband for his daughter. And Bessie found Monkey more handsome than all the men who had proposed to her, and she wanted to marry only him. I can see that you will make a wonderful husband for my daughter, Najo said, fingering the diamonds, the gold, and the jewels Monkey had displayed in front of him. But you cannot marry my daughter unless you bring more provisions and bags of gold and diamonds. Monkey was amazed at Najo's greed, but he quickly recovered and said, "What I'm offering you is only a token of my love, for your daughter is priceless. If you let me take your beautiful daughter with me, I will make you the happiest man on earth before the year is over. Najo had no reason to doubt Monkey's promise, and he gave his permission immediately. The wedding was unbelievable. People came from far and near in their best and most expensive clothes, but no one was more beautifully dressed than Bessie and her groom. Food and drink were plentiful. There was palm wine and beer, rice and chicken, beef stew, yam, bushmeat soup, black-eyed peas with palm oil and red corn paste. And there was much dancing and singing. Monkey showered singers and dancers with gold coins. At the end of the wedding ceremony, Bessie set out for her new home with her handsome young husband. Every morning thereafter, Monkey and his wife worked on the new farm he had bought. And for a few months, they lived happily, working the land as farmers. Monkey soon got tired of his new life, however. He found the clothing of men to be more and more uncomfortable, and the interminable days of hard work on the farm were boring and tiring. His monkey nature could not endure this tiresome, monotonous life. He missed the company of the other monkeys. He missed swinging from one tree to another. He missed running, playing, climbing, and chattering all day long, or stealing food from farms and running off at the first sign of danger. Then, one day, while Monkey and Bessie were working the land in preparation for the planting season, Monkey threw down his hoe in disgust and frustration. Moving away from his wife, he said a few magical words. Suddenly, he turned back into a monkey. Bessie heard her husband say something, and when she turned to ask what he had said, she was shocked to see a hideous monkey instead of her husband. He was taking off his man-made clothes. His tail was still missing, but Bessie watched in total amazement as it grew back. She was paralyzed with horror. Then she realized that she had married a hideous monkey. She cried out in fear and began to run. Monkey ran behind her in hot pursuit, driven by anger and fear of being discovered. Bessie was a fast runner, and she ran swiftly through the jungle. She leaped over fallen tree trunks, wide holes and ditches, streams and boulders. But Monkey gained on her steadily. He knew the jungle and all the shortcuts through its thickets. Soon, Bessie could feel Monkey's hot breath on her back. At that moment, however, she saw her village in the distance, and she knew that safety was near. She increased her speed and put a few meters between herself and Monkey. She ran through the gate to her father's compound, crying, "Father, help me! Father, save me!" Najo rushed out of the house upon hearing his daughter's cry for help. But Monkey made a giant leap forward and touched her on the shoulder. Najo saw his beautiful Bessie turned into a monkey right in front of his eyes. Her hair turned coarse and stiff and spread all over her body. Her graceful arms and legs withered. Her monkey face grimaced as she turned away from her heartbroken father to her new home in the jungle. Within days, Najo went insane with sadness and the guilt of his own greed. He died soon thereafter.